Shalom once again from all of us here at Jewish Voice Ministries. I want to share just a summary of what's happened over the last weekend. Today is day 325 since October 7th and the war between the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, and Hamas began. What I'm sure you heard in the news is that Hezbollah attacked northern Israel over the weekend. Now, most of the parties involved are hoping this doesn't escalate. According to the spokespeople for both the Israeli government and Hezbollah, which interestingly in Arabic means the people of Allah, also an Islamic jihadist terrorist regime committed to the destruction of Israel and the Jewish people in the region, neither Hezbollah's leadership nor Israel's leadership want this to escalate, and we don't know where Iran stands. Time will tell, but everyone's hoping that what happened over the weekend was an isolated incident. But here's the headline that happened today that you may not hear in the major news sources, because unfortunately, it doesn't support the narrative that's being cascaded worldwide. Here's what happened. The 109th hostage remaining in Gaza was rescued, repatriated onto Israeli soil. He's now in hospital. He's doing just fine, and he's been reunited with his family. Now, the bodies of 6 hostages last week were recovered from Israel, and it was on worldwide news. Why didn't we hear about this 109th hostage? His name is Qaid al-Qadi, and he is a Bedouin. He's an Israeli citizen, but not Jewish. He lives in a nomadic area in the south of Israel, and like the vast majority of Bedouins in Israel, he practices Islam. He's Muslim. Israel sent in special forces from the IDF to go 20-something feet underground into a locked room where this hostage was being held, and they brought him out at great risk to their own lives. Why? Because the IDF is committed to the safety and well-being of every citizen in the Jewish state, Jewish or not. Now, the reason you won't hear about it on the news is because the narrative right now is that Israel is for the Jewish people and anti-Palestinian, anti-Muslim, and anti-Arab. But let me remind you folks, the Palestinians, the Arabs, and the Muslim peoples worldwide are not Israel's enemies. Israel's enemies are the isolated jihadist terrorist groups who have openly said that given the opportunity, we will destroy Israel and the Jewish people. Those include Hamas, those include Hezbollah, and those include at least the current government leaders of Iran, not the Iranian or Persian people as a whole, but the leadership. You won't hear it on the news because it doesn't support the narrative that Israel is this aggressor in the region who's against everyone who's not Jewish. Qaid al-Qadi is not Jewish, but he deserved, as an Israeli citizen, the same rescue at great risk that all the other remaining 108 hostages still deserve. And here's the other key difference. The culture of Israel, the culture of Judaism is, as we say in Hebrew, l'chaim. It's a culture of life. Every individual life matters before the Creator, whether they're practicing Judaism or whether they're not. The culture of Hamas, as said recently by their own leadership, is a culture of death. It's okay to send women and children into harm's way. It's okay to hide behind innocent civilian targets, as long as the ultimate goal of Islamic jihad, or conquering the world for Allah, which, by the way, includes the necessary destruction and annihilation of the state of Israel and the Jewish people, as long as that goal is accomplished. So I'm letting you know this, and please do check it out online. Fact verify with me, you'll find these things to be true, that Israel today rescued a Muslim Israeli citizen, part of the Bedouin community, at great risk to the IDF, because it's exactly what they're supposed to do. And I want to ask you, in these seasons when there's so much misinformation, disinformation, anti-Israel propaganda, whether in mainstream media or even on college campuses, take your stand for Israel. Don't believe everything the headlines say. Look at what's really going on. Israel's committed to peace in the region. They're committed to the safety and preservation of every individual human life. And as a follower of Jesus, who said, I came first for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, we're asking you here at Jewish Voice not only to stand with Israel, but to keep standing. Of course, as we say every time we bring you an Israel update, please continue to pray for peace in the region. Pray for protection for Israeli citizens, and especially for those in harm's way defending Israel, those members of the Israeli Defense Force, many of whom are only 19, 20, 21 years old. Pray for protection for them. Pray for wisdom for the many nations sending government leaders in to try to deal with complex issues like hostages, like the question of a ceasefire or truce, like the very tricky issue of a two-state solution. Pray for wisdom for those leaders, and continue to pray along with us for the salvation of the Jewish people as we're entering the Hebrew month of Elul, which precedes the high holidays, high holy days of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement. This is a time of heightened spiritual awareness on the Jewish calendar. And during these dark, confusing days, Israel under attack, anti-Semitism on the rise, many in the Jewish community are saying, if there is a God, where is he now? You know where he is, and I want you to pray along with us that he meets every Jewish person who calls upon him in a transformative way, and that he reveals his salvation this season. We'll keep you updated on the headlines you're hearing and on the ones you may not hear as we hear about them here at Jewish Voice. Thanks so much.